Welcome back. State Senator Annette Taddeo is hoping to be the Democratic nominee to run for governor this year. She has to beat Charlie Crist and Nikki Fried in the primary first. I spoke to her this week about her campaign, but we started with the legislative session in Tallahassee. How do you see the legislative session going this year? What's the big picture that people should take away right now?
That Tallahassee clearly is dealing with made-up problems and not with the real problems we have. And this is nothing new, but this year feels really a concerted effort to make up issues, make up problems when we're not dealing with the actual issues we have. For example, affordable housing, we're not dealing with those issues. And then the few little bills that are moving along, trying to alleviate the crisis we have with affordable housing, they add amendments to just make it easier. Like they did in a committee that I brought up, to just make it easier for developers to turn them into high rent condos. Unbelievable. I'm hoping to be successful in removing that amendment, but let me tell you, it's a big fight, and we're fighting for things, including taking money away from South Florida schools from our budget, simply because South Florida decided that the health and safety of our kids was more important than a governor who tries to tell its local elected officials what to do and what not to do.
Well, let's stay with that for a second, just to make sure everyone is aware. The House passed their version of the budget this week. It'll go, the Senate will have their version, then they'll try to reconcile the two. The House version, though, does take away $200 million in funding from school districts that enforced a mask mandate. That translates to $71 million in less funding for Miami-Dade schools, about $32 million or so less funding for Broward schools. Initially, the governor was opposed to it and then turned around and said he now supports the idea. Why do you think the governor did such a major 180 on this and now wants to take funding away from school districts like Miami-Dade and Broward?
Listen, as the only parent in this race with a kid in public school, I can tell you that clearly this governor has shown time and again that he's only worried about voters in Iowa and New Hampshire and not about actual Floridians and our issues. Our kids, and this is what I said when we were having the mask mandate and the mask question, each community should make their own decision. Each elected official in that community should make their own decision. We should not have a dictator like sending and telling them that he's going to remove money or he's going to actually take them off of their elected position if they don't do what he says. And now to remove money and for him to now be in favor of removing such huge amount of money, our money, because let's not forget that a lot of these counties that they're taking the money away are actually donor counties. The rest of the state actually lives of the fact that so many of these bigger counties pay so much more than the smaller counties. And I just find it outrageous that we're putting our kids in the middle of all this.
So another issue I want to raise with you is one that my colleague over at another station, Channel 10, has done some really good work on, Glenna Milberg, pointing out that voter registration efforts seem to have been, corrupted in some way, where we've now found a number of individuals who had their voter registration changed from Democrat to Republican here in Miami-Dade. And I know that some of the research you've done shows that it's taking place throughout the state, or at least in other parts of the state. What can you tell us about this effort, and do you believe it ties directly back to the Republican Party of Florida, who denies they have anything to do with it?
Yes, I do believe that it's a concerted effort, and I believe that it's not just a statewide effort, it is a national effort. It is really unfortunate. It has actually been something that we've known since December. Since December, I wrote a letter to the Secretary of State saying, wait a minute, my office is getting phone calls about this from voters. I've submitted those voters whose party registration was switched without their consent to the state attorney, Kathy Fernandez-Rundle. But then as more time went by and more reports, and I started submitting these and working actually with Glenna to give her more people show up, more people are calling. We have now found that it's not just in Miami-Dade. And by the way, in Miami-Dade, for example, in one of those public housing buildings, 100% in one building were switched to Republican. In another building, 90%. Other areas in Homestead, in Hialeah. So it's not just that building. It is a concerted effort. And the IDs that those voters send me, pictures of the IDs of the people at the door, said RPOF, Republican Party of Florida. So yes, it is something concerted. And now I've started to get phone calls from people in other areas of the state. The I-4 corridor, people who have worked for these firms and these PACs like Florida First, which is part of America First. So all of it seems like a concerted effort. And why would they do this? First of all, we have a closed primary system in Florida. So if you are switched to Republican from lifelong Democrat like these elderly Hispanics were, then they're not going to have a voice in my primary when I'm the first Latina ever to run in Florida history for governor. And that, of course, is a personal concern, but put me aside. Forget about that. The fact is, in a free country, in the freest state in the nation, as the governor likes to say, they are literally tricking elderly voters into switching. And in Central Florida, it's not just Hillsborough. I have submitted the information to the state attorney, Warren, in Hillsborough, but it's all throughout the I-4 corridor. And I believe that we're going to end up with a huge scandal.
The other issue that's going to come to the front in the Senate next week will be the abortion restrictions law that will cut the time that a woman can get an abortion from 24 weeks down to 15 weeks, and does not make any exceptions in the cases of rape and incest. How do you see that debate playing out next week? It seems, from my understanding, that the Senate leadership has no interest in even amending the bill on the issues of rape and incest.
That is extremely disappointing. Definitely, at least we should make that exception, but they're not making that exception. It was offered in committee and not accepted on a partisan basis. The votes, they're all going to vote for it. I know some of them, not many, but some of them in the Senate are not happy with it. But this is a priority of the governor. Again, not something that we have a problem with, that we have issues with. And certainly in the cases of rape or incest, to not include an exception is completely just wrong, appalling, and it should never happen. But this is about politics. This is not really about making sure that our kids are taken care of. If we really wanted to make sure that those kids had a bright future once they're born, we would invest more than $13 a day in pre-K education. We would be doing so many of the things that we should be doing to ensure that our kids have a bright future. That's what we should be discussing. We have a lot of women that have not gone back to work after COVID. And it's mainly because there is a problem finding who will take care of your kid while you go back to work, and it costs more than what you make. So there are real issues we should be dealing with, but we're not. We're dealing with made up issues because they eventually want to make Roe v. Wade completely illegal, take it all the way to the Supreme Court. And this is clearly a concerted effort.
I think it's fair to refer to you as the underdog in this race. You got in the race last against State Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried and Congressman Charlie Crist on the Democratic race to challenge Ron DeSantis. Where do you see your campaign right now, and what needs to happen for you to win the primary?
Well, first of all, yes, I would say that I'm definitely the underdog, and I'm happy to be there because I can tell you that I can see by the numbers that and the calls and the visits all throughout the 67 counties that I'm doing in an RV, that people are just not excited about the other candidates, which is why a lot of people were like, well, you need to get in. And I did wait a while to make sure. But now that I'm in and going, and as people hear my message and my story of perseverance and being a fighter, it really resonates. And we see that in our research, but we are seeing it real now as we go to every one of these 67 counties, and the response when people hear my message is really overwhelming, and a lot of support, immediate turn to support my race.
Well,
And that's what we know will happen.
Let's go there. So why do you think you're the better choice between yourself and the other two candidates in the race on the Democratic primary?
Well, I talked about one of those reasons, and that is that I am a parent with a kid in public school, an issue that's going to be very real and very much discussed in this race, because we have a governor that has turned against public education, that has turned and used kids as pawns for his political future. But in addition to that, I am also a small business owner. I meet a payroll. I have been battle tested and attacked as a socialista, comunista, you name it, and they have not been successful because I've been able to fight back. I currently represent a +6 Trump district, not something that's not easy to do. And in order for us to be able to win across Florida, we must get a lot of voters in the middle. We must get a lot of independent voters. But more importantly, we also have to excite our base, and we have to get back the very, very crucial Hispanic vote. That is how Republicans have beat us, and I don't see any of the other candidates being able to do that besides me.
We'll be right back.